Wait, are you talking about a time machine?
No. No, of course not. No, not a time machine. It's more like
Time travel.
No. Yeah, like a time machine.
Are you seriously telling me that your plan to save the universe is based on Back to the Future?
No.
It's quite amusing to hear the dialogue about time machines in two big screen hits, Tenet and Avengers Endgame, because neither film is willing to explicitly call them time machines. Why? Because time travel is generally associated with changing the past, and that's logically incorrect. We'll see where that logic fails later on, but it's a key point made in both of these movies.
Time doesn't work that way. Changing the past doesn't change the future.
If that universe can exist, we don't live in it.
What's happening?
It might seem contradictory. What's the point of a time machine if you can't change the past? But that's exactly what makes it so interesting. All films with a time travel theme have to confront a paradox, something that, if violated, makes the very concept of time travel impossible.
Grandfather paradox.
The what?
This paradox is called the grandfather paradox. The assumption is that if you go back in time and kill your own grandfather before he gets married, you would never be born, and thus your trip back in time could never have happened in the first place. The point isn't literally killing your grandfather, but rather that changing what has already happened makes time travel itself illogical. For example, if you went back in time to prevent COVID-19 and succeeded, wouldn't COVID-19 have never existed even before you went back? So then what was the point of your trip? That's the paradox. This is why Hulk's words in Endgame are so crucial.
That isn't true. Think about it. If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future. And your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Exactly. Bullshit.
To avoid this paradox, Tenet and Avengers Endgame take different approaches. Avengers Endgame uses the multiverse concept, while Tenet uses the causal loop concept. What's the difference? Let's take a look. The main idea is that when the Avengers go back in time, they're not in their own timeline anymore. They're in a parallel universe, one that runs alongside their original timeline. So when Captain America meets his past self, it's not the same person anymore. The same goes for when Tony Stark meets his father. It's a different reality, and it won't change anything in their original timeline. Besides, they didn't go there to change anything. They only went to borrow the Infinity Stones, which were destroyed in their own universe.
Remove one of the stones, and that close splits. Now this may benefit your reality, but my new one, not so much.
This concept is called the multiverse, and it's inspired by the many-world interpretation theory, a conclusion some scientists came to after studying the baffling behavior of particles inside an atom.
Rules of the quantum realm aren't like they are up here. Everything is unpredictable.
The multiverse allows Avengers Endgame to completely avoid the paradox. So, what about Tenet? The film's concept is the causal loop, a repeating relationship between cause and effect. This idea was popularized by a Russian physicist named Igor Novikov. Novikov proposed that paradoxes could be avoided if time travel adheres to the principle of self-consistency. What's that? Scientists often explain it using billiard balls. Imagine a billiard ball that goes into a time machine, appears in the past, and hits its younger self before it enters the time machine. If the collision doesn't cause it to enter the time machine, that's a paradox. However, if the billiard ball hits at an angle that causes it to enter the time machine, the event becomes consistent and doesn't create a paradox. The consequence is that the event will keep repeating. This is what we see in Tenet, especially in the car chase scene. The protagonist sees a car flip over before going into the turnstile. A series of events then leads him to enter the turnstile, and he goes back in time and flips his car over. which is then seen by his younger self who has not yet entered the turnstile. The event then repeats with the same series of events. This is why Neil reminds the protagonist that no matter what he does, he can't change what has already happened.
What's happened.
However, this concept creates another paradox. We never know who experienced the event first, because the event repeats without a beginning or an end. This is called the Bootstrap Paradox.
Have you ever heard the term Bootstrap Paradox?
You can also find the Bootstrap Paradox in the Netflix series Dark. In one episode, a person goes back in time to meet a professor and shows them a book about time travel that the professor will write in the future.
This book has traveled back through time. It found me before I even wrote it. It's all a question of origin. Where is the beginning? When is the beginning? Is there a beginning at all? The world is full of such paradox.
In the Bootstrap Paradox, the origin of an object or information becomes a mystery. The book wouldn't exist if the professor didn't write it, but the professor wouldn't write it if they didn't see the book first. Interestingly, Novikov referred to this mysterious information as jinn. If you're thinking that's the same term used in Islam, you're correct. Novikov was inspired by the term for an unseen creature in the Quran. Returning to Tenet, the film itself becomes a paradox and a complete mystery. At the end, Neil tells the protagonist that Tenet was created by the protagonist himself.
Hey, you never did tell me who recruited you, Neil.
Haven't you guessed by now? You did.
But he wouldn't have created Tenet if he had not been recruited by it.
All I have for you is a gesture in combination with a word, Tenet.
What's even more interesting is that the main character's name is never mentioned in the film, other than being referred to as the protagonist.
I'm the protagonist of this operation.
Unlike other Nolan films, where the main character's life is usually explained, here it's not explained at all. Not even his name is mentioned.
You don't work for us, you're dead.
This is because he is also part of the paradox, just like Tenet. He will always exist and be involved in the repeating missions of Tenet. He is the main character, but he isn't the first one, which is why his identity is intentionally kept a mystery.
You are a protagonist. Did you think you were the only one capable of saving the world?
So guys, that's the uniqueness of this film. If you're confused, that's normal, because at its core, it's all about paradoxes. If you find the paradoxes, maybe that was the film's goal, as Barbara says in the movie.
Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
But at the very least, there's one important lesson we can take from this film. What's happened has happened and is destined to happen.
What's happened's happened. Which is an expression of faith in the mechanics of the world. It's not an excuse to do nothing.
Fate?
Call it what you want.
What do you call it?
Reality.